John knew he was cursed. No other explanation would make sense in his mind. For the past 3 hours, he had been trapped on Peter's bridge in the middle of a first blizzard. Whenever he had taken a step off the snow-covered path, his vision would be blurred in a haze of white, and he would be right back at the other end. He had considered jumping from the sides off the bridge to the ground below, as it was a fairly short fall. When he peered over the railing and gouged in the distance, however, it became apparent that while the fall wouldn't kill him, but his older age meant he would be seriously wounded, likely breaking a leg. This would be manageable on its own, but he could sense something under him. Something too terrible to deal with. Something he felt was responsible for his predicament, and its presence was subtle. But it was there, and it was hunting him down. Why it wouldn't just come up to the top of the bridge was beyond him, but as long as he was above it, he knew he was safe for his time being. He sat down on the middle of the bridge, leaning his back against the poles, and rungs were designed to keep the thoroughfare from tumbling off the sides. Maybe if he just rested there, he thought, he could wait this all out. The blizzard could end. Someone would walk by and drag him back to the normalcy, or he could wake up from this terrible dream. As he pondered through his options and possibilities, John couldn't help but think back to the history of Peter's Bridge, named after the local philanthropist who had funded this construction. It was also where the man wouldn't be undone. Peter and his old fairly wealthy and had many involvements with women. His last being Marie, 4 years ago, almost coming into 5 few days. There was an altercation between the two. Marie had confronted Peter on this bridge, throughout what was never fully known to the public. The low traffic of the place seemed to during the winter, but all ensured that her body would not be found until a week had passed. Multiple wounds on her face, neck, and bruising on the side of her body, with broken ribs underneath, and utterly frozen. Peter was investigated and tried, but soon found guilty of both his murder and several other, admittedly lesser crimes. He has been given a life sentence, although it was shortened by Peter's creative use of prison bed sheets about a half a year ago. It was horrific murder that was the source of John's curse, he reckoned. People do say that hauntings happen around places of great trauma, or at least that's what he heard anyway. John curled up as tightly as he was able and drifted off to sleep. It had been almost a whole day by John's recollection, and he was still trapped on Peter's bridge, and still by the blizzard and screamed around him, while the snow was just enough to help state his thirst. John knew he would soon starve to death if the cold didn't take him first. He lost count on how many attempts to walk off the bridge he made, but it was well over 1,000 times now, and vaulting off the sides seemed like an even worse idea than it did before, as it was clear this thing stalking around below was prepared for something, and it haphazardly placed some dark blue-looking stones all over the ground. They made John feel deeply uneasy. For another few hours, John paused and just looked at his surroundings. Whatever light made it through the blizzard was reddish-orange, giving the snow around him a particularly light orange-brown color that reminded him of peanut butter. And those little stones looked like grapes, what John couldn't give for a long-filling peanut butter and grape jelly sandwich. It was just like those he used to bring into school as a young lad. The chewy, rough surface of bread, the creamy texture of peanut butter spread, and the sweet, tart taste of that of jelly. Oh, how he craved it. He hungered for it. He needed it. If there was only he wasn't struck in this horrible blizzard, trapped on this never-ending bridge, for now that he was thinking of it, John didn't feel cold at all. In fact, he was feeling rather warm now, too warm for the bulky weather clothing he was wearing, as he took off the gloves of his right hand, revealing the bluish-purple fingers beneath. John suddenly remembered the truth. All this prior knowledge of Peter's bridge of his younger age, his entire world and life around him, was an illusion. John was the king of peanut butter and jelly land, but what was the cause of this prior delusions of his paler skin? Believing that the bread of his castle was a merge bridge? Of course it made sense now. The fiend who cast his curse upon him was malicious and monstrous mage. Morbidisms molded fungal fiend infected King John with wretch enchantment, tricking him into doubting the true nature of his reality and keeping him from his people, who were no doubt waiting for his return below. King John, landing on the soft accumulated peanut butter, was punctuated by the deep pain of his side, no doubt the last bit of morbidus curse wrenching its way out of his body. He wasn't able to rise to his feet, but that was just fine for him. His most trusted members of the royal court were waiting for him at the castle. They looked different from how they remembered. Through his fairness, his memory was affected by vile sorcery. The three of them were huddled together, drizzled with that delicious spread, staring at him with wide, toothy grins. Every single of their 4 eyes refused to blink, no doubt out of concern for their king, and their strawberry jelly skin peeked through the specks of streaks around the neck. With brisk crunching and snapping sounds, they rushed over to the aid of the monarch. Once he was escorted to the medical chambers, King John noticed that the touch of his skin was painfully cold, and the grip was getting tighter and tighter by the moment. By the time John realized that he was horrifically mistaken, that he was no king, that he just stripped himself only his protection against the cold, and that faces staring at him were frozen in grimace. But it was far too late. The 3 intact hands were already digging into his throat and face, choking him with their grasp, trying to gouge out his eyes. The presence puppeteering had commandeered for a 4th member in his form. It was only a matter of time before one more person crossed the bridge, became ensnarled, and finally completed him.
What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. I want to appreciate you all for tuning into this video, and I do appreciate you guys supporting my video by giving this video likes and stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you're new, ring the bell for notifications to when I upload so that way you guys will get updated for whenever I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter or DeviantArt, feel free to leave a follow on those if you are interested in following me on those socials. If you want to support my backup channel, known as Miss Dark Shigo, feel free to subscribe to it, as a link to that will also be in the About page section. And with that being said, and that being the case, thank you so much for watching, my pretties, and as always, please stay pretty.